Oh, hello. Slightly different angle today. Slightly different angle. Pablo's scared already. You should be. You should be. Oh, big TV. I'm on the big TV. So tell me, can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? Am I syncopated? I don't know if that's syncopation or not. I don't know what syncopation means. I'm not amused. I feel very bright today. I feel very bright. I don't too bright. Let's what can we do? Very bright. Very bright. Let's bring that down a bit. Good evening, Josie, Collie K, loud and clear nominee. Thank you, mate. Thank you. It's very interesting being a Comedy Award nominee. I've supported comedy and comedians and for years and years. It's very interesting. Who has sent a nicer message and who really hasn't? Oh, I got a stinking cold, champs. Shall I blow it into that? Hello, Snowflow. Stinker of a cold. Yeah. And no, this is a special Comedy Award nominee cold. It's a special one. Special one. All right, you're the early birds. We've got half rims. I call these 50p. We've got not 50p. Were you slapped on the nose? Have I got a big red nose? Is that what it looks like? I call these trodden on. The awards haven't been run yet. I should know when they are. I think I've got an invite coming. 50p's. You like the 50p's? I like the 50p's. Can you guess why I call them 50p's? Can you guess that? Would you like to guess why I call these glasses 50p's? They did cost £1. No, they were 50p. I like the grey ones. These ones. These were not 50p. These were £3. £3 of mighty, mighty glasses. Mighty, mighty spectacles. £3 worth. I still like the half rims though. New library. And a new library today. Those are swapping over too quickly, aren't they? Swapping over too quickly. I need to change that. Have you seen Edith? I do have some new friends in most of these, depending on where I'm sitting. It will depend on what you see. I think actually some of these are quite big. Oh yeah, look at that one. I don't know if you can see them. Thank you. Thank you. These are niche. These are professional glasses. Hello, Claire. Let me just... That's too fast for me. Properties. Automatic. Time between slides. 20,000 microseconds. I think I want it... I want 40,000. I'm going to double it. And the transition speed, I'm going to up that. I'm going to randomize that. Okay. Snowflow came back. I'm very grateful. I'm looking smart, feeling rancid. Thank you. Looking smart, feeling rancid. So, apologies for the sniffs and the coughs. Tonight, I keep reading from the Invisible book. Just take that from the shelf. 65 Great Tales of Horror. But what do you notice about tonight's story? Stinking cold. Yes, I like a bedtime story of a Monday. Good. Perfect. You're in the right place. So tonight's story, because I've got these 3 books now. 65 Great Tales of the Supernatural. 65 Great Tales of Horror. And the other one. 65 Great Tales of Biscuits. Something. And they're all edited by Mary Danby. So, I thought I'd have a look at Mary Danby. I'd have a look at Mary Danby's story. And here's a nasty old story. I liked it. What I will say about this collection, and I'm glad we got it, I'm glad I've got it, is that there's a lot of stories that involve violence against women. Too many. Is this one of them? Yes, and this is a milder one. But if you look up Mary Danby, if you Google Mary Danby, the author, she just collected ghost stories and ghost books. She's still alive, I think. It kind of goes against my usual, which is to read something by someone not around anymore. But I thought, Mary Danby, you have created these incredible books. I'm going to... Oh. Hello. I thought I'd give it... as long as it's not violence against cats, I can cope. Women, fine. Children, fine. Men, fine. Violence against bears, I'm fine with bears. Violence against caterpillars, bring it on. But cats, no. I have my limits. Why is that picture slightly out? I think some of those have... Great work, Mary Danby. Very great work. Lots of great work. So, as is usual, it's almost 10 past. We start about 15:15. So there's time to get yourself settled, get yourself comfortable, get yourself a snack. There's even time if you want to get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself a drink. If you want to go and get a drink, let me know. I will not start until you say I'm settled. So if anybody wants to go and get yourself something, do that now. Let me know. And then we'll wait for you to come back. So if you want to do that, let me know. Still quite short swap over. All I'm saying is, I've been waiting since you posted about the stream. Josie's going to get the snack. Good. When they come back, we want to know what it is. Oh. Okay. Pablo's going to get the drink. A cup of tea isn't a bad idea. Actually brought sugar just for cups of tea. There you go. So we're waiting when Josie and Pablo and Collie say they're back. And anybody else, then we'll start. Who was that nun down the end of the... A ghost? Saucy nun? Maybe it's a Halloween ghost. Maybe it's not a ghost. Just fed the cat. Hello, Katie. We're really glad you're here, but we want a duckling update. A duck date. Don't wait for me. I'll hover on the door causing a draft. Okay. I know. This name of this title I got wrong. Autocorrect. But I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it. Have the ducklings been collected, Katie? Did you put them in the bath 10 times? Snack has been procured. Please update us on your current snackage status. Pablo's back with cheese, crackers and grapes. Oh, sadly, the lovely ducklings have returned to their owner. Ah, there once was some lovely ducklings. Their feathers all fluffy and brown. Just joining in. Ah, little duckies. Thank you very much, Katie, for popping that video in the Discord of your duckies. Absolutely delightful. And the D stands for duckling. Oh, Zoe Bread liked my video. Zoe Bread commented on my video. Ah. Father Pancakes. Salted caramel dark chocolate. Live Zoe Bread fan club. While we're waiting, I'm going to buy a Zoe Bread t-shirt. Because I feel really guilty. I meant to do it. Then I just posted a TikTok about them. And I meant to do it before, and I didn't have time. So then I thought, oh, I'll do it after the stream, and I didn't think they'd see it. So now I'm going to buy a t-shirt. Okay, I'm adding that to cart. Sorry about this. I'm just doing some admin. I'm just going to check out my Father Pancakes t-shirt. If you want to see, I'll show you what I'm buying. Yeah. I'm just going to put the shipping details in. Yeah. Okay. I've got to put my country. I live in the United Kingdom. Too much information. Next. State province can't be blank. Okay. Merseyside. I'm not looking at your chat. I'm busy. Okay. I'm busy doing this. Next. Shipping options. Royal Mail tracked. Okay. Next. £3.12. Wow. Payment. And we go PayPal. Going PayPal. I'm going to pay that with PayPal. Sorry, I'll be back to you in a minute. I'll show you which t-shirt I've bought in a moment. I'm busy here. This is more important than my stream, and we're still only 13 minutes past. Complete that purchase. Thanks for using PayPal. Ka-ching. And thank you, Gav. Your order has been received. Great. Do you want to see the t-shirt I've just bought? Hang on. Let me just find. Right, let's see what you've been saying. Right. Well, not much. Someone's doing it. Morrison's. Okay, collie case settled. I bought the, if you scroll down, each one of these t-shirts comes with a companion TikTok. She makes the t-shirts, wears the t-shirt, goes and causes mischief with the t-shirt, and then sells the t-shirt. And that supports their creativity. And I am committed to buying a t-shirt every maybe 3 to 6 months. I like the Panettone one, but I bought the Father Pancakes t-shirt. That's the one I bought. There you go. Is that nun waiting for the kettle to boil also? I know, Barry, but it's a you know, Morrison's is from Bradford. It's about supporting an artist. Barry, it's about supporting an artist. I'm going to be restring a broken necklace for my mother-in-law while I listen, and then I'm going to eat half a bar of chocolate. Yeah. What flavour of chocolate? Brand? Make? Claire? Okay, so when I read the... Who's that? When I read the story, I don't look at the chat. I'm going to blow my nose. To hopefully clear it. I would say there's quite a degree of violence here in this story. I think it's of its age. Half a bar. Can I first compliment you on your ability to eat half a bar? Well done. Right, what did we decide on glasses, by the way? Sorry, I've been stuck with the half rims. Let's... Very quick decision. Half rims. 50p's. Trodden-ons. £3. £3. Trodden-ons. 50p's. Half rims. So far, 50p's got it. £3. Do you think they're slowly getting rid of Pepsi? It's a bugger to find. My readers are £1.50, which is wrong advertising. Yeah, but it all balances out, doesn't it? These were 50p. Right, so far there's been one vote for a 50p and one vote for a £3. Come on, one more decision. Not for one of those. Some of my readers, Danny, are, £2 or £3. Yeah. Yeah. Let's not poll it. Let's just make one more decision. One more person makes a decision, and then that will tip the balance. Because I want to start this story now. Banging on. I bought a T-shirt. I've got excited about a TikTok on a tiny account that no one cares about. The most expensive one, please. I'm gonna go for them. I'm gonna go for these. The £3. There's 2 votes for the £3. It tips the balance. Here we go. Okay. Now, if you remember, I fade out and then fade in. I've got to find the story first. My £3 book, which I'm loving. Mary Danby, Nursery. Oh, I've described the story wrong. Never mind. Page 170. I've got it Nursery Time. It's actually Nursery Tea. Okay, page 170 for Nursery Tea with Mary Danby. So I'll fade out and then I'll fade back in. Are you ready? Are you sitting comfortably? Thank you for your company. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. And sorry in advance for this nasty little story. Hello, welcome to Armchair Readings, read live on a Monday at 9 p.m. on Twitch. Nursery Tea by Mary Danby. It won't be the same without them, said Olivia, sealing a Christmas card in its envelope. Her brother Hugh rose from his chair and took a tin of tobacco from the mantelpiece. He filled his pipe, then thrust his hands deep into his sack-like pockets of his knitted cardigan. Matches, matches, he muttered to himself. Ah, and he finally located them on the bamboo coffee table. Mother loved Christmas. And father, added Olivia. She adjusted a lock of greying, mud-brown hair that had slipped from the bun high on her head. At 44, she was what is known as a fine-looking woman. Not pretty, but she had good bones, like a well-bred horse. She had never done anything to improve or enhance her appearance, feeling that others should be content with what God had given her. She took the same attitude to her character, never attempting to control the less pleasant aspects of her nature, and the fact that her brittle, domineering self had never appealed enough to any man to make him want to marry her seemed not to bother her. Hugh, on the other hand, was a shy, nervous person. He had a job in banking because his father had told him he had to be in something, but he would perhaps have been happier as a clergyman or a market gardener. The reason he had never married was that even if he had formed a close relationship with a woman, he would never have dared to propose. She might have said no, and that would have been so crushing. But never mind. He had Olivia. Will it just be us two, he asked, puffing his pipe, for Christmas dinner? Did you ask someone else? Olivia raised an eyebrow. No, said Hugh. There was a silence for a while. Hugh settled back in his chair and made a half-hearted attempt at the Observer crossword. Olivia finished writing her Christmas cards and went to draw the curtains. Outside, the yew tree at the end of the garden merged darkly with the winter sky. Beyond it was the church, and the little churchyard where her mother and father lay beneath pots of yellow chrysanthemums. Olivia suddenly had a picture of them all, young and vital, having tea on the lawn under the yew. Pa in his Panama hat, Hugh in short cotton trousers, buttoned on to his shirt. Mother in a low-waisted dress, setting out cups on a wrought iron table, and Nanny, come to take them in at bedtime. Always Nanny. At least we don't have to have Nanny, she said. Don't we? Said Hugh, putting down his paper. But she always comes for tea on Boxing Day. Oh, for gosh, 30 years, I suppose. Which is 30 years too many, said Olivia. But then Nanny was an institution. Every year, at about this time, their mother, slipping a cheque into Nanny's Christmas card, used to say, Dear old Nanny, she was so good to you children. But she wasn't. That was the ridiculousness of the whole business. She wasn't. They had been conned into thinking of her as a treasure of their youth, but Hugh sometimes remembered the reality, and the memory hurt with a pain that made him almost tremble. Far from being a treasure, their Nanny had been specious and crawling, keeping her smiles and sympathy for the grown-ups, and turning her dark side to the nursery. Behind that heavy closed door, cruelties were perpetuated in the name of discipline, and tortures were performed on little minds, whose scars were less tangible than those of the body. They had been terrified of her, but nonsense, darling, and Nanny knows best, was their mother's reaction to their tales of oppression. And, inexperienced as they were, they had accepted their fate, believing it to be a natural and inescapable side of childhood. It was only as they had grown older and Nanny had moved on that they realised how unnecessarily they had suffered. Did I ever tell you, said Hugh, that when I was 5, she made me stand on one leg for half an hour because I'd wet my bed? She said I was ugly. I'd never get a man. She said I had a face like a gargoyle. I believed her, said Olivia. She was a swine, said Hugh fervently. And she won't let up, will she? Went on Olivia. Even now. She says sit still as if I were a dog, and she tells me to mind my P's and Q's. I think it gets worse. Every year. Hugh nodded. And every year she says I know someone not a million miles from here who was sick all over his teddy. Mother used to think it was hilarious, but it wasn't funny, ever. I was sick because she forced me to eat all her leftover cabbage stalks. Olivia moved away from the window. Hugh, she said. Yes. As she passed behind his chair, she gently touched the top of his head. I think we should have Nanny to tea, she said slowly. After all, it's what Mother would have wanted. You said, began Hugh, but Olivia just smiled and stroked his hair. Everyone said Nanny Pritchard was wonderful for her age. Isn't she amazing? They said in front of her, as if she were a performing doll. Privately, most people thought her a tiresome old crab, but didn't do to say so. Expressing one's dislike of a 90-year-old was the next worst thing to speaking ill of the dead. While other residents of the by-and-by old people's home were visited by their children and grandchildren, Nanny Pritchard had nobody. She had spent her life caring for Hugh and Olivia, and the two little Barrett girls, and Nicholas Dicehart and Nicholas Dicehart's children, and all the others. Their families were her family. She had lived for the children, and now they were only memories. In her room, she kept a scrapbook for each of them, cutting engagement notices from the Times to follow on from the chubby-cheeked photographs and the first attempts at painting. To Nanny, love from Olivia. A square, two-dimensional house, with smoke coming from the chimney. The Big Fat Man Next Door, by Hugh. Ah, the little monkey. She kept her scrapbooks hidden, so the cleaning lady wouldn't see them and try to dust them. People don't understand. Not like in the old days. Very sad about Hugh and Olivia's parents going so suddenly, one after the other. She'd always got on well with them. Nanny, you're a marvel, they used to say to her. And now Hugh and Olivia have sweetly asked her to tea on Boxing Day, just as if nothing had happened. Hugh would be there in a moment to fetch her. She fastened her grey tweed coat, and leaning heavily on her stick, made her way to the front hall. She heard tyres on the gravel, and the next moment Hugh, his sports jacket flapping about him, was ushering her into his car. "You naughty boy," she said, poking a knobbly finger at his midriff. "You'll catch your death." She sat in the front seat for the half-hour drive, keeping a tight hold on her stick and thumping it on the floor every time she thought Hugh was exceeding the speed limit. Hugh, braking meekly, smiled to himself as he thought of the surprise that awaited Nanny at the end of her journey. "Ah, Nanny, dear!" Olivia, girlish in pale blue chiffon, opened the door. "How well you are looking!" "Unlike some," retorted Nanny. She peered at Hugh. "Picky, if you ask me." "Perhaps I haven't been eating my greens, Nanny," said Hugh. Nanny shot him a look of stone. "Very well," said Olivia. "Happy Christmas, Nanny." She kissed the leathery cheek. It was, paradoxically, as soft as milk. In the hall, Hugh took Nanny's coat. Then Olivia moved towards the staircase. "Not in the drawing-room?" queried Nanny. "Your mother always served tea in the drawing-room." "Up the wooden hill?" quoted Hugh, with a little smirk. They helped Nanny climb the 2 flights, then waited while she stood, panting, trying to get her breath. Where once she had towered over them, shepherding them upstairs after their good-night kisses, now in her shrunken old age, she was dwarfed. "This way," said Olivia, gaily, enjoying her view of Nanny's bald patch. At the end of the landing they came to a room that had once been their day nursery. A fire burned in the grate, and in its gentle light the toys spread around the room looked less dilapidated than they actually were. "Good gracious me!" exclaimed Nanny. "Yes," said Olivia, "nursery tea, just as it used to be." Nanny moved around the room, shaking her head. "Well," she mumbled, "I don't know, I'm sure. This was never done," she declared, pointing to the old wooden rocking horse. "We always had it over by the window. She picked up the moth-eaten doll. "Isn't this Pamela? Oh, you loved your Pamela." "You didn't. You held her upside down in a basin of water. You said that's what would happen to me if I didn't wash my face properly," Olivia remarked conversationally. Nanny thumped on the ground with her stick. "Stuff and nonsense. I won't have such fibs in my nursery." "Oh, really, Nanny?" said Olivia, taking the doll and putting it back on its chair. Now," said Nanny, "don't snatch." Hugh was standing with his back to the fire, looking anxious. "Come and sit down, Nanny," he suggested. Nanny lowered herself into the armchair by the fire and smoothed her beige wool dress over her knees. "You always were a polite boy, Hugh," she said, nodding. "Nanny's little pumpkin pie, I used to call you." Olivia, behind her chair, smothered a giggle. Nanny pursed her lips. "Now, Nanny," said Hugh, leaning against the big brass fireguard, "how is everything with you?" Nanny grunted, then launched herself on her annual list of complaints. The matron at the home, the food, the old man in the next room, the television, the radio, the Sunday Telegraph, and the communists. "And I'll tell you," she concluded darkly, "Mrs. Augustus, who came last week, has a grandson who plays in one of those pop groups." "Isn't that so terrible, Nanny?" asked Olivia, laying the table for tea. Nanny stiffened. "Of course it is. You've only to look at the papers. If it's not drugs, it's the other, all over the place." "The other?" said Olivia. "Oh, sex, you mean?" "We'll have no dirty talk here, miss," said Nanny. Olivia groaned while Nanny went on. "And I know someone not a million miles from here who could have found himself a nice young man if she'd learnt a little self-discipline." "Ha!" Olivia exploded. "That's rich. It used to be my face that put him off. Now it's my personality, is it? From someone who has never even been glanced at by anything in trousers, male or female. That's rich." Nanny struggled to her feet, red in the face. "I will not have this naughtiness, Olivia," she snapped, her breath coming in gasps. "If you're not careful, I'll be taking you to meet Mr. Slipper Slapper," asked Olivia. "Remember, Hugh? Remember Mr. Slipper Slapper? She produced from the window seat a worn old slipper. I found him in the box room. Such a dear old friend, wasn't he, Hugh?" She took a step towards Nanny, who fell back in her chair. "Remember, Nanny?" she said, smacking the slipper against the palm of her hand, softly at first, then harder. Nanny's jaw dropped open, but she remained silent. "I say, Olivia," said Hugh, looking worried. "Oh, it's all right," said Olivia. "Nanny and I are just having a little joke. It's only a game." "It's a very silly one, if you ask me," said Nanny. Olivia wagged a finger. "Now, don't be such a crosspatch, Nanny." "Can't we have tea?" said Hugh. "I'm sure Nanny must be hungry." He led the way over to the table, which was covered by a gingham cloth. "Here, Nanny," he said, pulling out a chair. Nanny, fixing them both with an eagle gaze, sat down. Olivia poured out a glass of milk and placed it in front of her. "Drink up now, Nanny," she said with a smile. "What's this?" asked Nanny. "Milk, of course. Now, drink it up." "Aren't you going to make any tea?" "Tea isn't good for you," said Hugh, enjoying the joke. Nanny sighed. "Oh, I think you're both being very silly, but since this is all here," she raised the glass and sipped at the milk. Hugh and Olivia watched her. "Biscuit, Nanny?" asked Hugh, offering a plate. Olivia pushed his hand away. "Bread and butter first, Hugh," she said. "You know we always have bread and butter first." "No, thank you," said Nanny. Olivia tutted. "Now come along. There's many a poor child would be glad of it. Pass your plate." After the bread and butter came plain biscuits, and then the pièce de résistance, a bowl of cold sago pudding. "Oh, no, really," said Nanny. "This is going too far." "Eat it up now, Nanny," urged Olivia. Think of all of the starving children in India. Let me see a nice, clean plate." "I can't," said Nanny, for the first time a note of desperation in her voice. "Can't?" said Hugh, leaning across the table at her, his eyes bright. "Can't? There's no such word as can't." "Her eyes were bigger than her stomach," crowed Olivia. A dose, chanted Hugh, growing pink with excitement. Have you got the milk of Mags? Oh, damn. No, I haven't. Wash your mouth out with soap, ordered Nanny automatically. She tried to get up from the table, but dropped her stick. Olivia picked it up. Give it back, said Nanny, dropping back on her chair. Give it back at once. Say please, demanded Olivia. Please. No, said Olivia. She can't move without it, said Hugh. Good, said Olivia, because I want to tell her a story, and I want her to listen. Are you listening? You're listening, aren't you, Nanny? Now, once upon a time, there was a little girl who liked to suck her thumb. She wasn't any different from any other little girl, you know, except she had a nanny who got cross about it. This nanny used to keep on and on about the great, long, red-legged scissor man who would cut off her thumbs. Snip, snap, snip. Olivia snapped her fingers under Nanny's nose. And then, you see, there was a picture, a boy crying, and blood coming from where his thumbs were. I thought the scissor man would come for me too. I really did. The first thing I did when I woke up each morning was to look and see if my thumbs were still there. You were a very silly little girl, said Nanny. Always play acting and making a fuss. Now, give me back my stick. No, said Olivia, pouting. The old woman held out a crooked hand. Give it to Nanny now. Shan't. Do you know, said Hugh, she stole my clockwork clown. Nanny looked at him. What a wicked thing to say. It's true, said Hugh. You said only good children can have such lovely toys. You said you knew a little boy who was much nicer than me and that he should have it. I did not. You did. Don't answer back. Olivia, who had been gazing out of the window, spun round suddenly. Hugh, she said, I think Nanny needs a spell in the bedroom. Don't you? Now, Olivia, warned Nanny, this will all end in tears if you're not careful. You've had your joke, and it wasn't very funny, was it? It was all very funny, wasn't it? Now, if Hugh wouldn't mind just running me home. Hugh giggled. There are monsters in the bedroom, aren't there, Nanny? Bogeymen, great big spiders, and things with huge teeth, you said. Off the nursery was a tiny box room with a high sealed window. It was empty except for a wooden stool and a broken ironing board. In here, Nanny, commanded Olivia. Perhaps in the bedroom you'll learn to behave yourself. Nanny reached for her stick, but Olivia lifted it above her head. Help her, Hugh, she said. Hugh held out an arm, and Nanny, taking it, raised herself from the chair. If you think I'm going in there, she said. You are, said Olivia. In that case, declared Nanny, you'll soon find yourself in real trouble. When I tell the police how you've been carrying on, they'll lock you away somewhere. You're not fit to be living here on your own. What your dear parents would have thought. Oh, well. Sorry there's no light in there, said Olivia. I took the bulb out. Nanny struggled briefly with Hugh, then allowed herself to be led, muttering furiously, into the box room. You won't get away with this, she muttered. Hugh turned to Olivia. Nanny's having a little tantrum, he said gleefully. Shut the door, Olivia said coldly. Lock it and give me the key. Hugh did as he was told. It's only for a little while, isn't it? He whispered anxiously. Part of the game. Olivia nodded, listening to the box room door. She could hear nothing. What do you want to do now? She asked Hugh. He gazed around the room and gave a little excited jump and hurried towards the old rocking horse. Bag's eye first, he shouted, and swung a leg over the saddle. He rocked back and forth for a while, a dreamy expression on his face, while his sister arranged a row of skittles along the edge of the hearthrug. They soon tired of their games and found it more entertaining to stand outside the box room, baiting Nanny. Cinderella's gone to town with her knickers hanging down, sang Olivia. Bum! Oh, said Hugh. Every little master, every little miss, there behind the greenhouse having a lovely yoo-hoo, Nanny. Titties, said Hugh. Olivia listened again. There was still no sound. Do we think we ought to let her out? Asked Hugh. Olivia shrugged. Let's just look at her. She moved around the room, searching for the key. Oh, where the hell did I put it? It was Hugh who found it on the mantelpiece, and who, in his excitement, knocked it off, so that it bounced against his chest and fell into the fire. He turned to Olivia, stricken. I didn't mean to. Honestly, really, Hugh. You're such a butterfingers, she said, exasperatedly. Oh, well, we'll have to break the door down, I suppose. Hugh was leaning over the fireguard. Perhaps I can fish it out. No, no, Olivia pushed him away. Let me. She began to unhook the fireguard. Oh, said Hugh, hand to mouth. He glanced across towards the box room. You're not allowed. Tell-tale tit, sneered Olivia. What's the matter? Afraid of what Nanny will say? You're really still afraid of her, an old woman of 90 locked up in the cupboard. Oh, Hugh, I thought today would stop all that. I thought we could wipe out the past, get our own back. I thought I could begin to make a man of you at last. But you're just as weak as you always were. Hugh cringed. Olivia by now removed the fireguard and was bending low over the fire with a pair of short-handled tongs. As she turned to berate Hugh still further, her wrist touched the scorching hot hood above the grate. Ow! She cried, jumping back. If she had tidied away the skittles, as she would have had to do in Nanny's day, we always tidy up one thing before we go on to the next. She might have suffered nothing more than a burnt wrist, but she had left them lying untidily on the hearthrug, so that when she jumped back, she landed on them, lost her balance, and toppled right into the fire. Hugh, his face a mask of helplessness, watched, trembling, as her dress flared up. She shrieked and put out a hand for him to pull her out, but he could only stand there, gaping. By the time she had dragged herself clear, she was a stumbling, screeching torch. Her screams were so pitiful that Hugh had to put his hand over his ears. Then she stopped screaming and stood still for a minute, eyes wide with horror, before collapsing in a bubbling, writhing mass on the floor. Hugh, retreating, terror-stricken from the flames, heard beneath her moans heavy thumping on the box-room door. Then there were no more moans. And after a while, no more thumps, just crackling, as the fire edged towards him over the faded Peter Pan carpet. Hugh squatted on his haunches, watching it. He put his thumb in his mouth and sucked hard. He didn't like the smoke. It was making him cough. When he could feel the heat of the flames on his skin, he screwed up his face and howled, Nanny! He sobbed, Nanny! But though he called and called, Nanny never came. Nursery Tea by Mary Danby. From 65 Tales of Horror, edited by Mary Danby. Hello. Hello, Jacob. Something happened to the camera, didn't it? There you go. I don't look at the camera. Sweet dreams, everyone. Night, night. Sleep tight. I don't look at the chat, sorry, when I'm doing the story, if you're still here. Wow, that escalated. It really made me laugh. That escalated. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm looking at the chat, which is in the live Twitch. So, Kat enjoyed that. Hello, Kat. I love that story because for lots of reasons. One, it is the basis of what I do. First of all, it talked about the red-legged scissor man. Does anybody know that reference? That could have been an Inside Number 9 episode. It could. It was brilliant, yes. The red-legged scissor man is a story that I've read, and it's already on my YouTube. It's a Dr. Hoffman story, and can I read it to you? I'm going to read that to you, but I read all of those Struwwelpeter stories on YouTube. You can find that if you just look up Struwwelpeter or Shock-Headed Peter. But I'll read you that poem, the one that frightened Olivia. Story of Little Sucker Thumb. It's just loading, this poem. I should have set it up properly, shouldn't I? Snip, snap, snip. Oh my God, it's so horrible. I don't know why it's not loading. The other thing is it made that telltale tit. Your tongue will be split, and all the little puppy dogs will have a little bit. And if you know that my most recent show is actually called Telltale Twit, which is inspired by that that little nursery rhyme. Still looking for the... Here it is. So from Scissorman, the poem from, sorry, Struwwelpeter. Oh, it's one of those websites with a million adverts. I can't honestly have that open. So I'm going to try and find the text somewhere else as I talk to you. Is anybody else aware of Struwwelpeter? Have I lost you? I don't know if I have. Gosh, where's... my book is downstairs, which is... I apologise. Of course, it influenced Shocked-Headed Peter, which is the translator of Struwwelpeter, which is a fantastic musical by the Tiger Lilies, which was just incredible. Not heard. Little sucker thumb, let me... Oh, I'm really struggling here. I've got to read you this. I've got to find it. I have to edit this out. Maybe I should play you my version of it from... I do this as a workshop. Here we go. The Story of Little Sucker Thumb by Heinrich Hoffmann. One day, Mama said, "Conrad, dear, I must go out and leave you here. But Conrad, mind now what I say. Don't suck your thumb while I'm away. The great tall tailor always comes to little boys that suck their thumbs. And ere they dream what he's about, he takes his great sharp scissors out and snip, snap, snip, cuts their thumbs clean off, and then, you know, they never grow again." Mama had been scarcely turned her back. The thumb was in, alack, alack. The door flew open, in he ran, the great, long, red-legged scissor man. "Oh, children, see, the tailor's come," and caught out little Sucker Thumb. Snip, snap, snip, the scissors go, and Conrad cries out, "Oh, oh, oh!" Snip, snap, snip. They go so fast that both his thumbs are off at last. Mama comes home, there Conrad stands, and looks quite sad, and shows his hands. "Ah," said Mama, "I knew he'd come to naughty little Sucker Thumb." So that poem is in the nursery rhymes of German children. And I did that as a workshop with adults. They were, you know, the youngest was 85. And 4 of them were from Germany. And they said, "We do not know your nursery rhymes and stories." I said, "Well, you know Struwwelpeter." And they went, "Yes, we know Struwwelpeter." So I got Struwwelpeter out and we read that. And they said, "Yes, we know this." Now, my friend who worked on that project with me went off and had a baby. No surprise, it was planned. And her family, half of her husband's side of the family are German. And when her baby was about 2 months old, they sent her the book with that poem in. They don't muck about, the Germans. They don't muck about. And I love it. Yes, so there we go. That's my little flight of fancy. Oh, you cheeky people. So there we are. That was again. Let's go back to the story. Nasty. And why are tailors bogeyman? Because they have access to cutting implements, I would guess. Snowflow. Yeah, they got access to things that cut. Great big scissors. You know, great big ones for. Let me see if I can just adjust this. Oh. There we are. But yeah, I can highly recommend Struwwelpeter. Got a few versions of it. Really nasty poems. And when I take them into schools, kids love them. But grown-ups love them as well. But back to Hugh and Olivia. I mean, I don't know if any of you had a nanny when you were little. Did you have a nanny? I mean, I had a nan. I had a nice nan. All right, nan. But I didn't have a nanny. Did it make you feel sorry for people who had nannies? The Marguerites? No, I don't care. I can visualise the scissors with great big handles. They are huge. The pictures that go with it are so brutal in a really simple way. There you go. It's even been fact-checked on Snopes. Are you allowed to tell scary... Yes. That's what I do. That's literally what I do. Don't worry about what people tell you.